Good morning. I'm Rebecca Corral, KCBS News Time 1031. One of the questions being asked since the deadly ghost ship fire is, how did building inspectors miss the warehouse? Conditions inside had deteriorated to the point where fire crews described a maze within the structure that thwarted their attempts to put out the fire and inspect the building. Neighbors had complained about the conditions, as did several former occupants. Inspectors did visit the site in November, but no one was allowed to go in. To take a closer look at the building inspection process, we're joined on the KCBS Ring Central Newsline by Joe Tobener, the managing editor at the Tobener Law Center. He specializes in tenant law. Thanks a lot for talking to us today. You've been critical of Oakland's building inspection process. What are some of the problems you see with the department?
Well, I think the problems have been going on for a long time. I handle hundreds of repair cases each year on behalf of tenants that are seeking to force their landlords to make repairs. And it's pretty widely known that the Oakland building department is behind the rest of Bay Area cities in terms of enforcement. They come out and oftentimes belittle tenants. They'll come out and not issue notices of violation. They do what I call rear view mirror inspections. They drive by the property and check the box that they came by. There are other cities in Alameda County that are doing a great job, and I know that I can count on them to enforce the housing laws, like the city of Berkeley and the city of Fremont. And San Francisco is doing a particularly good job as well, especially with these live-work artist spaces, these illegal live-work artist spaces. The city of San Francisco, I've been in many high-level meetings with the Department of Planning and the Department of Building Inspection and the Fire Department, where we're looking at a specific property where artists live, and the agencies are working in concert to figure out a way to preserve the housing and make it safe for artists. Oakland is catchers catch can at best, and I reviewed the record, and Oakland inspector came out in October of 2014 to check on a complaint that there was illegal housing at that site.
And they didn't get in, though, right?
Well, I don't even know. We can't tell from the records, and the city of Oakland isn't being particularly forthcoming with the records, but the online records don't indicate whether they were able to get in or not. That was an October visit, October 2014, and then there was a November visit 3 weeks before the fire where they weren't able to get access.
You know, now it would seem to be not the time to cover your back end. I mean, it looks like Oakland is kind of trying to do that to some extent. Why is it so much worse than all the other cities?
You know, it's hard to know. I think some of it has to do with bureaucracy, and some of it has to do with management. It's hard for me to know the answer to that. It is unfortunate, though, because if this had happened in San Francisco, the Department of Building Inspection would have followed up on that early October complaint, and something would have been done about it. And like I say, the departments would have worked in concert to make that safe. One of the interesting things about this case is that the tenants didn't allow the inspector in, and Oakland's different than a lot of counties in that they don't have a safe harbor for tenants. They'll come in and red tag the units and force the tenants to vacate. So it's not in the interest of the tenants to let the inspector in, and it's pretty widely known. So the tenants are going to be really reluctant to let the inspector in because they're going to lose their housing. New York is doing a really good job with respect to live-work artist spaces. They have a safe harbor where a tenant can call and say, hey, I'm living in a live-work commercial space. It's not zoned for residential. I want an inspector to come out. The inspector won't red tag the unit, and they'll work to improve the space and make it safe for the artists.
And would a city not do that here? Would Oakland not do that because of the liability?
Oakland is not particularly tenant-friendly. I think, having done this over the last decade, Oakland really is not tenant-friendly. And like I say, they'll often belittle the tenant. They'll say, well, if I issue that notice of violation, you'll probably be evicted. So do you really want me to do that? There are good inspectors out there as well in Oakland. I mean, really good inspectors. So I don't want to say what happened specifically at this property. I mean, that inspector that went out in October of 2014 might have been a benevolent inspector that is a supporter of the arts and knew that if he got in, that these artists would be displaced. You just don't know what's going on specifically with each inspection. And I think a lot more information is going to come out once the inspectors' names are produced and they're interviewed and we get the full file.
Yeah, I can only imagine how they feel right now. Well, thank you for talking to us and sharing your insight. That's Joe Tobener, managing attorney at the Tobener Law Center. KCBS News Time, 10:36.
This portion of the news sponsored by Home by Verizon.